On the outskirts of a small town stood Blackwood House, a mansion with a dark history. It had been abandoned for decades, with stories of hauntings and disappearances surrounding it. The townspeople spoke of a malevolent spirit that cursed anyone who dared enter. Despite the warnings, a family, Mark, his wife Sarah, and their daughter Emily, bought the house, lured by its low price and grand appearance. They moved in on a crisp autumn day, excited to start their new life. The first few days were uneventful, but strange things began to happen. At night, Emily would wake up screaming, claiming to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed. Mark and Sarah dismissed it as nightmares, but the incidents grew more disturbing. One evening, Sarah heard faint whispers while she was alone in the kitchen. Turning around, she saw nothing, but the whispers continued, growing louder and more insistent. She tried to follow the sound, which led her to the basement door. Against her better judgment, she opened it and descended into the darkness. As she reached the bottom, the door slammed shut behind her. The temperature plummeted, and the whispers turned into anguished cries. She fumbled for the light switch, but it wouldn't work. In the faint glow of her phone, she saw ghostly figures of children, their eyes hollow and pleading. "Help us," they whispered in unison, their voices filled with sorrow. Terrified, Sarah ran up the stairs, pounding on the door until Mark opened it. She tried to explain what she saw, but he remained skeptical. That night, they both heard footsteps echoing through the halls, despite being alone in the house. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Mark researched the history of Blackwood House. He discovered that the original owner, a man named Edward Blackwood, had been a cruel and sadistic figure. He was rumored to have murdered several children, whose spirits were now trapped in the house. The hauntings escalated. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut, and the family was plagued by terrifying visions. One night, Emily went missing from her bed. Desperate, Mark and Sarah searched the house, following the sounds of her cries. They found her in the basement, standing in front of an old, decrepit mirror. The ghostly children surrounded her, and in the mirror, they saw Edward Blackwood's twisted reflection, his eyes burning with hatred. "You cannot escape," he hissed. "Your souls are mine." The basement door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The walls seemed to close in, and the air grew colder. Mark and Sarah held Emily tight, their breaths visible in the icy room. The ghostly children moved closer, their expressions a mix of sorrow and fear. With a surge of strength, Mark grabbed a piece of broken wood and smashed the mirror. It shattered, and a deafening scream filled the room. The ghostly figures dissipated, and the door flew open. They fled the house, never looking back. The family left Blackwood House that night, abandoning all their belongings. The mansion stood silent once more, its dark history intact. Locals claimed to see the shadowy figure of Edward Blackwood in the windows and hear the cries of the lost children on stormy nights. Blackwood House remained a cursed place, a reminder of the horrors that lay within its walls. No one dared enter again, knowing that the malevolent spirit of Edward Blackwood would never rest, forever seeking new souls to claim.